Hi everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel, our YouTube channel. This time next week it will be officially spring in Australia, and with spring comes the desire and sometimes the need to do a whole lot of plant maintenance. There's a lot of plants that are held off on repotting or held off on chopping, propagating, extending over the colder months, because I just figured they're gonna have a much easier time recovering from the shock in spring. But spring has kind of creeped up on me. I mean, I really wanted it to be here ASAP, and then kind of July dragged on a little bit. August was honestly just gone in like the blink of an eye. So here I am, wanting to get on top of some of the plant maintenance. Or, well, not quite yet. I actually took some holiday in September, so the middle of September, and it's my birthday. I just took a week and a half or so off work. So I think in that time, obviously, apart from celebrating, I want to get on top of a lot of my maintenance, my spring garden, greenhouse, and so on things, right? And I love that. I'm really looking forward to it. But when it comes to plant maintenance, there are also some parts that I'm enjoying a little less. I love the hands-on work. I love the work that I do with the plants themselves. But there's also a bit of prep work, and today I really just want to get on top of all of my prep work so that over the next coming weeks and months, whenever I've got time to do repottings, extensions, and so on, I have all of the materials handy that I need. So first of all, I want to stock up my aeroid mix bar because most of it is empty. So we're gonna go to the garage, we're gonna have a look at what is left, fill it up, and then whatever I don't have, I'll just, I'll order, so that by next week or the week after, I have all of the materials. I can make a huge batch of aeroid mix and then just repot a lot of plants. Secondly, I want to pre-make some moss poles and some grow vertical poles, and I also want to try something new for some of the poles that are going to live outside. And I love to just do them in bulk, because once you do one, you know, and you have all the materials there and you make all of the mess and so on, might as well just make a bunch. So today I just want to make as many moss poles as I can, based on how much moss I have. Just so I've got them handy, and then later on I don't have to procrastinate when there's an extension due or a chop and extend is due, or there's a plant that would really benefit from a moss pole but I don't have one handy, right? I'm just setting future Jan up for success. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And I thought while I do all of that, I'm just going to take you along and I'm going to give you a bit of a life update, plant update, and so on, just fill you in on anything that has happened. So yeah. Let's go. You gonna help me? No, you're just gonna sleep, huh? Welcome to the mess that is my garage. So, you know, when I moved 6 months ago, not everything fit into the new apartment. The inside of the apartment is actually smaller than the old apartment, but I do have the 2 outside courtyards. But I also had a garage at the old place, and I already used that for storage and had a lot of like spare stuff there. So that all went in here, and then a friend of mine also just moved recently, so she dropped off a whole lot of stuff. And yeah, there's some spare shelves and so on, right? Like, you guys know I like to rearrange my apartment all the time, and then depending on the setup, I use more or less shelves. Like when my plants were smaller, I had way more shelves because to elevate all of them. Now that they're all quite tall, I kind of had to get rid of a lot of shelves, and they're all on the floor now. So that all goes in here. That kind of enables me to keep my apartment quite clean and like neat, because all of the stuff is in here. So I'm really grateful for that. There's also a few things, like I've got some shelving here, I've got some more tiles over there. So, you know, and today I think we're going to talk a little bit more about like Sydney Plant Guide, the business. So yeah, you know, obviously as part of my YouTube channel, I'm trying to put some nice videos together and plan some videos out. And sometimes I get things, but I'm not ready to use them yet. So they all go in here then as well. So there's a few things in here that are going to come up in the spring projects. So over here I just have a whole lot of like spare pots and plant stands. Over here I've got some spare GT and some garden stakes and whatnot. And the most annoying thing is that my garage actually is north facing, so it's so nice and warm and sunny over here, much warmer and sunnier than my actual apartment. So what a shame. But yeah, it doesn't really have enough windows for me to utilize it for plants. So I'm mainly utilizing it for storage. But once a lot of this stuff is gone eventually, I think it would be a cool place to do some of the projects in. So I've got a big table over here as well that I want to use for that. So I would love to make this into like a filming space almost, right? So if I do like a terrarium project or like something like that, I don't know, I just feel like I could utilize this space and not make a mess indoors. Anyway, we're here to fill up my potting mixes. So tree fern fiber, okay, perlite, and lastly some bark. AJ just brought it over in the Coles bag. I didn't get it from Coles. I have half a thingy of pumice and half a thingy of cocoa chips left. So that's okay. I think this is gonna be enough to make like an initial big batch of aeroid mix, but I should definitely get on top of ordering some more later as well. And by ordering, I mean I'll message AJ. Alrighty, stocking up. Now I also have some more potting mix. I don't use this for my indoor plants. That's going to be for some veggies I want to grow. And in my last houseplant tour, I told you that the Billy was the only one who didn't survive winter. But I think this big Atabapoense isn't far off. So it doesn't look healthy and it started losing a lot of its leaves. I reckon the same thing, fungal infection. And I think there's very little I can do about it. But I'm not super surprised. I think the Atabapoense and the Billy, they really don't like cold temperatures. So, okay, this is what it is. I actually have a second and a third Atabapoense anyway. Sad because this was the big one, the big mother plant, but can always grow one again, you know. So the aeroid mix is actually not as stocked up as I was hoping it to be. So pumice is actually less than half. Cocoa chips is almost empty. So I need pumice and cocoa chips ASAP. And I have plenty of moss left. So, okay. First task done. Let's move on to making some moss poles. So, look at my beautiful cupria over here. She just had a bit of a spray just with water because she was a bit dusty. And Brett is hanging around as well. Hang on. I'll put Brett's cat grass down so he can eat it. He loves it. Do you want your cat grass? Here you go. Excuse the mess, but look at him. Eating his cat grass over there. Okay. Are you liking it, my baby? Yes! Oh yes! You've replied. Mwah. Okay. Well, can you eat from the side? Is that okay? Can you do that instead of just sitting on it and ruining the whole thing? Okay. He's enjoying himself over there. That's awesome. So, Tim from Grow Vertical has sent me some of his pre-used Grow Vertical poles because I really like the eco green, which is awesome. So I think I'm going to start off with you okay? So I'm going to start off with just the easiest ones. I'm just going to put a few Grow Verticals together with nothing inside because later on I'm going to fill it with tree fern fiber or bark or aeroid mix or something like that. So I don't usually like to pre-make them and then fill them with moss later because to like distribute the moss in there evenly, you'll kind of have to like push it down and then I think you'll end up compacting the moss too much. So I kind of just like to like evenly spread it out and fluff it up and then kind of put it together with the moss inside. But when we're using tree fern fiber or something similar to that, that's kind of a non-concern. Hello, you helping me? So I'm just gonna make maybe 5 or 6 of those, just so I've always got one handy when I need one. Now, what should we talk about first? Let's maybe talk about the apartment. I think on the 2nd of September, so next week, exactly next week, it will be half a year, which is awesome. Went by so quickly, and the shitty half of the year, right? The wintry half of the year. Do you want more of your grass? No, you're gonna eat it too quickly. You need to give it a bit of time to recover, yeah? There's some grass growing there as well. Okay. So, and honestly, I feel so home over here, and I feel like the better half of the year is still to come. I finally got my courtyard set up properly with nice furniture. Yesterday I had 2 friends over, and we sat out there. We had a lot of margaritas and some nice dips, and just sat there listening to music, chatting away. It felt amazing, honestly. I love that. I love entertaining people. I love having people over and, like, you know, serving them some nice drinks and food. That's my hospitality me coming out. So I feel like this summer, and sorry for the noise in the background, it's the weekend and there's so many cars on the road, but I really don't want to do this inside because it's so messy. I think I'm going to have an amazing time this year out in my courtyard. I'm so excited for some spring gardening, which I want to do maybe next week or the week after as well. I want to put some more plants in the ground. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get my lease extended. I'm going to check with the agency really soon, because my mom is also coming to visit in Feb, and if my lease expired, then Feb would be the month where I need to look for a new apartment and move and so on, go through all of this stress again. And now with things like the greenhouse behind me, the move is going to be even more hectic. Now, I don't feel like I'm going to have to move. I feel like they put a lot of effort into, like, renovating this place before I moved in. So I feel like if they had the desire to sell it, they would have sold it back then. So I feel like I'm going to get an extension of the lease easily, but better to check. Now, that's not going to stop me from putting any plants in the ground though. Obviously, I enjoy the end result, but I also enjoy the journey. And if I plant a lot of plants and then I have to move on, I might just take some cuttings. I'm gonna do it regardless, just hoping for the best, right? Manifesting that I will get to stay. Bradley, where are you? Oh, you found the wild grass over there. Perfect. So honestly, a blessing in disguise that I ended up living here and found this apartment. So freaking happy. Now, it could have a little more sun in winter, but I think during summer it will be quite nice. So this courtyard is south facing, so it's not that hot. The other courtyard is west facing, but it's like the north is there, and the problem is, like, the house is blocking the north sun, whereas the other courtyard is on the side of the house, so the sun isn't being blocked. So the other courtyard gets pretty much sun, apart from the morning sun, it gets all of it. So it's much warmer over there. And you can tell, like the plants are happy as well. For example, with that Atabapuense I was talking about, I have the bottom part of that pole in the other courtyard. It gets way more sun and it's alive. Like, it hasn't grown anything over winter, but it also hasn't died, whereas this one died. So I think it's just warmer temperatures in that other courtyard. Let's talk about Sydney Plant Guy. And I'm not talking about me, I'm talking more about Sydney Plant Guy as, like, a business, right? So, and I don't know if that's interesting to anybody, but yeah, I don't know. I really enjoy being open and transparent on here with you guys and kind of go through the journey together. So yeah. So, I've been doing this whole social media thing for, I think in October it will be 4 years. So 4 years ago, I think I started my Instagram account. And the first 3-ish years, I really only posted to Instagram. I didn't have TikTok, I didn't have YouTube, I didn't have a website, I didn't really do anything apart from just posting things on Instagram. And also all of it was silent, like I didn't talk on my Instagram. It was just all words on screen. So then about a year ago, or now it's a little over a year ago, I decided to get out of my comfort zone and go on YouTube. And I honestly have to say it was the best decision ever. I don't really like Instagram anymore. I pretty much focus on YouTube these days. And yeah, I do TikTok as well, but it's too fast paced, and honestly, like I started doing, like I really just repost my shorts on TikTok as well. And I have to say I'm just way overwhelmed with questions on TikTok. And like on Instagram, at least there's like story highlights. So I kind of just like have all of the information in my story highlights. So if somebody wants to find the information, they can find it. But I feel like on TikTok, people, like I'm having an issue with kind of having a central spot for all informative stuff, right? And that's really what YouTube is. YouTube, it's so easy to find my tutorials on YouTube, whereas on Instagram and TikTok, because all the content just has such a short lifespan, like it just works with volume, right? So you need to, like, or they want you to post like 3-4 times a day on these platforms, which just means that if somebody wants to look for informative content, it's just drowning in me shaking plants. So that's kind of where YouTube came in. I was like, I think this is good, because then I can send people to YouTube and they have the tutorials there in depth, if they actually want to learn. So yeah, that's what I really appreciate about YouTube. I think it is the best for my type of content with plants, you know, where I want to have a good mix of informative and entertainment and just fun, you know. I think YouTube is the best platform to achieve that. And everybody has YouTube, or like you don't need to have a YouTube account, you know what I mean? Like everybody knows YouTube. Now with YouTube also came a lot more work, right? So what used to be like, oh, let's take a 5-second video and put it in slow motion, is now let's record a 4-hour video and edit it for 9 hours and then post it and like upload it in thumbnails and descriptions and so on. So it added a lot more work to it. I'm enjoying it though. I do enjoy the creation part as well. I was always interested in filming and cameras and photos and content and so on. So, and with a lot more time involvement, there's obviously kind of the desire for me to get rewarded for that time and effort. And of course also, like, I mean, over the years I accumulated a decent amount of followers. I feel like it would be silly of me to not capitalize on this. I think it would just be so stupid of me to not use this opportunity, right? Like, I mean, there's a lot of people that want to make content creation their full-time job potentially, and the only thing they're missing is the actual reach. I feel like I have a decent amount of reach on all 3 platforms now, so I think it would be silly of me to not try and kind of use that. And I want to be open with you guys about it, right? Like, I mean, I want to do all of this and I want my content to be free for you to watch, but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't get anything out of it. I think, and that seems to be really dividing people online. I've had people that get like mad at me for having sponsors in my videos, but at the same time, they're not even saying thank you for me like creating all that free content for them to learn. So I think it's more of a them issue, not a me issue. But I know that some people feel really negative about content creators wanting to get paid for their work, which I think is so silly. Like, everybody wants to get paid for the work that they do, but nobody wants to pay other people for the work that they're consuming, let's say. So, and I mean, I get it as well. I'm not the biggest fan of these like subscriptions and memberships things where people actually pay for the creator's content. I feel like, who am I to like compete with Netflix or like you know, like, I mean, I don't have that much to offer that I think it's worth for a person actually paying on a monthly basis for my content. Plus I want my content to be inclusive. I want everybody be able to watch my content, not just the people that can afford to pay for it. Like, I think for me, I put a lot of effort into creating content, so I want as many people as possible to see that content. So if I put it behind like a pay thing, then I'm just limiting the amount of people that are going to able to see it just purely based on that, which I think is kind of silly. So I want this to be not fan funded, which means the money needs to come from companies or like sponsors, right? And I mean, to me that just makes sense. These are all multi-million dollar companies like Google. They are multi-billion, million, I don't know how many, a lot. They have a lot of money. It's like, why wouldn't, and Google makes money based on content creators. We create content for YouTube so that people go and watch it and they then sell ads. So they make a fortune out of people like myself. So I think it's just fair for them to pay their creators, and YouTube is the only platform that actually does that. I know that Instagram and TikTok, I think, have some sort of content programs as well, but they are always just US, or at least from what I've seen and heard. You still there, my baby? Yes. So as a creator in Australia, it's actually really, really hard to get paid for the time and effort that we put into our content unless we start using YouTube. So yeah, YouTube ticks a lot of boxes. I feel more recognized for my content because there's actually like I get ad revenue from YouTube, so I feel more appreciated as a creator from the platform itself. But at the same time, I think it's also enabling me to build a better connection with you guys. I feel like on Instagram, TikTok, it's so fast paced. I'm having a really hard time to build a connection with like returning viewers because it's just too chaotic. I can't keep up. Whereas on YouTube, everything is a little, at least with long form videos, right? Everything is a little slower. There's just less volume. There's like, you know, if my video gets 10,000 or 20,000 views, like I'm really happy with that. If a video on Instagram gets 20,000 views, I would not be happy with that, right? So I just feel like it's more manageable from a volume perspective, and I actually read every single comment on my YouTube channel. I don't always reply to every single one because sometimes I'm just can't keep up with it, specifically given that most of my audience watches my content while I'm asleep. I wake up to just like this backlog of comments, and I read all of them and I try to reply to all of them, but sometimes it's just not possible if I have something else on that day, for example, and then it just accumulates, and then eventually I just can't really backtrack that far. But I read all of them and I see the people that comment under every video, or like the people that repeatedly comment. Like I feel like I have a much closer connection to like the community, let's say. Like I know these people. I feel like we're friends, but we don't actually know each other. Or like you probably know more about me than I know about you. But yeah, it makes me really happy. I feel like I have a much better bond on YouTube with my audience, and I feel like YouTube in itself just showing more appreciation. So that's really where I focus most of my energy on. And then kind of I'm doing all of this by myself. I mean, I'm really grateful for my friends. A lot of my friends are really supportive and help me and offer help filming, and like Tim, for example, an absolute legend, always going out of his way to help me with my content. So I'm really grateful for that. And yeah, I do all of this myself. I don't have like management or somebody editing for me and so on, mainly because I'm a control freak and I have trust issues. So I don't trust anybody. But also on the other hand, because it's actually a part that I really enjoy. So I obviously enjoy the planty part, I enjoy the content part, but I also enjoy the business aspect. As I mentioned before, I did study business management, and I was also like an events manager in a restaurant. I was an assistant restaurant manager, so I have a bit of managerial experience, let's say. But I feel like what was missing from school and like my previous work experience was really like managing a business yourself almost. And that's what I've been trying to do over the last year. I really tried to turn my social media presence into a bit of a business, a brand, Sydney Plant Guy. So I learned a lot about marketing, branding. I got a logo made and like a little intro. Like, I mean, these things probably to you don't matter, but to me, like, I don't know, I feel like such an adult, such a grown-up. I've really been enjoying the journey. Now most recently, end of financial year, and I work in the finance sector, so I know all about this all too well, but I never had to do a tax return as a business. So I learned a lot about that and just taxation. Really interesting to just learn that back end, that administrational side of the business, which is probably the part that most content creators don't want anything to do with. That's why they outsource it to somebody else. And I mean, I do have an accountant. It's not like I did it all by myself, but I actually did the tax return myself, kind of like, I tried to do a dummy tax return, and then I went with the accountant to see if I would have gotten it right, and I did. So just to kind of test myself. It's just me being weird, maybe, but I like these sort of things. So yeah, that aspect was really fun, and it's nice to have AJ, because AJ is obviously also running her own business, and it's good to have somebody you can talk to about. But our businesses are very different, right? She's actually selling a physical product, aka plants, whereas I'm selling like myself or like, let's say, content, knowledge, something that I create. So very different business model, but still nice to have people that are in like that sort of same situation. But yeah, I'm not too sure where I want to go with this. I do want to make sure that the content stays fun. Like, first and foremost, I need to enjoy let's do one more. First and foremost, I need to enjoy making the content. If I don't enjoy making the content, then this is not viable. But I also don't want to repeat too much of the same content again and again. So, I mean, when it comes to like informative videos, and I did a poll the other day, and actually most people wanted to see informative videos. But the thing is, like, I can only do a moss pole tutorial so many times. Like, the process doesn't really change. I just repeat the same process. So it comes across as very repetitive to me, and I'm not enjoying it. Every now and then, like, I don't mind, sprinkling in a bit of repetition, but I think that can't be my main content. So that's why I've been trying to diversify the content a little bit, go on these planty walks, just go out and about a little bit more, have my content not just be inside my own four walls. But also that's why I'm trying to do a few different things with plants as well, right? The first 3 or 4 years were all about aeroids on moss poles indoors. Now I want to experiment with growing in a greenhouse, gardening outside, and so on. So, just keeping the hobby, but also the content fresh and fun and exciting. But I'm always happy for ideas and suggestions. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any sort of ideas. I started being in touch with a company that offers merch as well, something I always wanted to do, but I already hear the people in my head like, no, not another influencer who has a t-shirt with his logo on it. I was like, yeah, you'll never be able to please everybody. There's always going to be somebody who has something they don't like, and that's okay. What I'm more concerned about is like just the options. Like, is this the best company to go with? Do they have the best quality fabric and printing, and is it kind of ethically sourced, and is it the best value for money, and so on? So I honestly, with these things, I just procrastinate because I'm just too worried I'm gonna make the wrong decision. And I have, like, for example, when I bought the furniture, easy, right? I don't care. I just buy the furniture because it's my money, my furniture. If I made the wrong decision, it's just me. But as soon as I like, obviously I'm not going to be the one buying the merch, like hopefully you guys would be, and I'm just worried that I'm gonna like not go with the best possible provider, because then ultimately you guys will be impacted by that. So, and then I look at other content creators, and I think I found like 3 or 4 people within the plant world that have their own merch, and everybody was using a different platform or product provider, and I was like, that doesn't help me because, and none of them were the same one that contacted me, so it's like, oh no, like what do I do? They're sending me some samples that I can try. Really important for me to see things, so I need to see it myself before I can possibly like ask you guys to buy it, right? So I think that should arrive next week or so. But yeah, I think I definitely am looking for like a solution where it's just made to order. So whatever's ordered, they make it and then they ship it out. So I don't have to be involved with like, I don't have to like hold stock and like anticipate how much stock is gonna sell and so on. So I don't have any, there's like, it's very clean, right? There's no excess stock that ultimately won't be sold. They only produce what has already been sold, which just reduces the waste of the whole thing, right? But yeah, see how we go about that. I just feel like I felt so awkward. Like I was like, merch? Me? Like, who am I? But a lot of people have asked for it. So yeah. On that note, actually, if I do merch, I'll put the logo up on screen. I don't think I ever shared my logo with you guys. I don't think I did. Anyway, this is my logo that was made kind of by the same watercolor artist that does my little intro, this one. Would you prefer the merch to just have the leaf, or would you want it to also say Sydney Plant Guy? I mean, the leaf is nice, right? Like, do you want the merch to be like specifically Sydney Plant Guy merch, or do you just want it to be a nice planty t-shirt? That's basically the question. Let me know in the comments down below. Okay, let me wrap this up so we can move on to the next part of my prep, and I'll just quickly speed this up. Alrighty, done with the first lot. So let me park them on the side over here. Wow, I was talking the whole time, it didn't record. I just rescued this little bee over here. You see this? There she is. I put her on the only flower that I've got. It's some native Australian flower. Can't remember the name. Something with C. Great, which means you haven't heard all of the things I said over the last 30 minutes. I was talking to you about this little apron. I put an apron on. It's gonna get messy soon. And I ironed this is my logo. I ironed this on here myself, and I would love to make something like this into merch, but it's way too hard. Like, I couldn't find any provider that actually does aprons that look decent and print on them. Anyway, moving on. So, the next thing that I want to make is my normal moss poles. And I'm gonna make as many as I can based on the moss that I have available. So maybe I should start soaking that first. But I want to make 2 different types. So I want to make the ones that I'm gonna have inside for all of my plants. And then I want to make some that I can put outside. And for the outside ones, I want to incorporate some plastic in there as well to keep it moist for longer. Because outside the plants have more airflow, exposed to more air, meaning that they dry out quicker. So let's cut some to shape. Now I could also obviously just use grow vertical poles for the plants outside, but they're already on my moss poles. So I would kind of have to upgrade them all to a grow vertical, which is really messy. The grow verticals take a lot of substrate as well, which is good because it dries out less quickly, but I just have way too many plants to use that amount of substrate. Is my bee still there? I can hear her, but I can't see her. Yeah, she's still there. Beautiful. Brett, the bee could be your pet. Let's just cut them, and I cut them in 15s because that's the same size that I have. Don't eat the bee, okay? Bradley? You wouldn't eat bees. That makes no sense, huh? Well, alrighty, so where did we left off? So yeah, now obviously I'm relying mostly on YouTube ad revenue, but I've started working with more and more companies. And you also have to keep in mind that for every company I actually work with, there's also at least 3 companies that I decline working with. So it is important to me that I work with companies that I actually use myself. So Grow Vertical, Mother, Soltech, GT, those are all products I actually use. So proof is in the pudding after all, right? Squarespace is what I actually use to put my website together. Skillshare is actually what I use to learn a lot about marketing, and also helps me a lot with mindset and so on, right? Just knowing that like other people are out there feeling the same. That's why they created a class about it. So yeah, really the majority of revenue that I can generate with my business actually comes from just people watching my YouTube videos. And that's what I always say. It's like, if you want to support me, the best thing you can do is just watch and share my content. The more people watch and share my content, the better for me, right? And if that would be the case, then eventually I don't have to rely on sponsors within the videos as well, because I can just rely on the ad revenue. But I can't be spending a full day filming and editing and like not getting anything out of it. I still need to pay bills, you know what I mean? I still need to live here, and I have rented a place that is much larger than it would have to be, just so I can actually have all of my plants and have a nice space to film and record, and have a garden so I can film different content and so on, right? So I have bills to pay, and I can't afford to spend 2-3 days a week on something that doesn't contribute to that at all. So yeah, I hope everybody understands that. But ultimately it's not just about the money. It's definitely, first and foremost, it needs to be fun for me. Otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. There's better ways to make money, more efficient ways to make money. If I drill it down into my hourly pay, ultimately, based on how much time I spend on making these videos, it's not a good rate. Like, it's definitely below minimum wage. So if it was just for the money, I would be better off using that amount of time and having a second job or something like that. So it's not about that. It's really about getting fair appreciation and recognition for the time and effort that goes into the content. And part of it is, you know, getting the appreciation from you guys, getting nice comments, seeing my channel grow. But the other part of it is also just getting recognized by the platforms for whom I create the content. And I mean, how can they make millions? And I'm sitting here saying like, no, I don't want to get paid. Don't worry. That would be silly of me, right? Because I can make some revenue from these videos, I can take that revenue and put back into the videos. So I can buy things like new camera, new equipment. I can buy new things for spring and try them out and so on, right? So I want to use that money to put it back into the content. Trust me, I'm not going to become a millionaire from chopping plants on YouTube. Let's pop in the moss. And I'm sorry for all the like money talk or business talk, and maybe it's completely like not interesting to some of you. But I feel like the more open and transparent I am with you guys, the better you can understand my content. Now, I get asked that quite a bit, like, is this my full-time job? Am I gonna quit my full-time job to do this full-time? No, it is not my full-time job. I work in financial services. And actually a lot of people from work started following me as well. So hello people from work. I hope my mom is not listening,
she'd freak out. I actually went down to part-time at work, so I only work 4 days a week now instead of 5. So I have a little bit more time to create content, right? But as part of that, I'm also getting paid less now, right? Like, I work 20% less, so I get 20% less pay. So another reason why I do need to make some sort of revenue with this, because I'm taking a pay cut to be able to spend more time on it. Right? But I enjoy it. I enjoy my job as well. I enjoy both, right? And if I would do content creation full time, I think it would take a lot of the fun away, or would add a lot more pressure, because suddenly you are purely relying on content creation to pay your bills. And I mean, cost of living increase and so on, it is not easy to pay your bills making content. So I think it would just add so much pressure that I would really hate it. But at the same time, it would be nice to have that amount of time available to put into content and see what I can come up with if I'd have that amount of time. So I thought maybe, dropping 1 day at work to be able to spend a little bit more time on content is a good compromise. And it's not just taking a day off to spend time on content. It's like I then have that day off to do content, so I can actually have a weekend. There's been, like, the last year, my weekends is Sydney Plant Guy. So I do all the filming for all of the posts that I release during the week on the weekend. So that's the weekend gone, right? And then I worked 5 days a week. So I worked every single day last year. I had a little bit of a break when my friend from Germany was visiting, because I was just doing more things with him and less content, but it's a lot, right? Like, it never stops. And all my friends are always like, you never stop. I never stop, right? Like, every 5-10 minutes that I have spare where I don't have anything on, I use to check comments and reply and answer questions and so on, and come up with ideas and so on. So it's definitely taking over my life. But it's a choice, right? Nobody's forcing me to do it. I enjoy doing it, and if I wouldn't be enjoying it, then I wouldn't be doing it. That's why I like keeping my daytime job. It gives me the power to say at any time, hey, I don't enjoy this anymore. I don't want to do it, because I'm not relying on it, right? So I don't want to take this power and freedom away from me. So let me keep flicking these things in here, and I will chat to you after. Alrighty, finally done. My thumb hurts. Alright, so let's see. How can you do this? Oh, I don't like this. Okay, I think I'm just gonna make the moss poles like normal and then add these in hindsight, because I also want them to be on the back. Oh, hang on, idea. I know Jake the plant guy on Instagram, he puts like a sheet of plastic on the inside and then makes the moss pole like normal. I think these are a little thicker than what he uses. So I think I'm going to put it on the outside. I think I'm just going to have an easier time doing that. Let's just try. Never done this before. I mean, again, it's not rocket science. The principle is pretty straightforward. Let me get the moss. This is so inconvenient. Hang on, I'll just put it down here. You can't see it, but I mean, you can't see it up there anyway. It's not see-through. So I just have the moss in here, just soaked. Let me just fiddle it apart. Somebody asked me the other day why I wet the moss to make the moss pole just to then let them dry again. I don't like, dry moss is kind of really hard to work with, and it's really hard to kind of really properly see the volume of it, right? So I wouldn't know how much to fill it with. So I wet the moss and then I'll let it dry in the sun afterwards. So while I just fiddle all of this apart, because the inside, see how it's like dry moss versus wet moss? Like, this is easier to work with. Like some of the creators that I watch, if they have a sponsorship in there, I'm happy for them, because I know that they got paid for the effort that they put into this video. Like, I don't know why people feel so negative about it. Nobody's forced to do anything. right? Just if you don't like it, then look away. Like, you don't need to complain about it. But yeah, anyway, I can't let those people stop me from doing what I want to do, but it is definitely, like, I would be lying if I say that it doesn't affect me. Like, I still am really self-conscious about a lot of the videos that I put up and feel like, oh my god, people are gonna hate this video, or like, I don't know if I should even publish this, you know, like these thoughts still go through my head all the time, where I'm not confident with some content, and usually when I release it and then you guys actually in the comment section let me know that you really like it, and it makes me really happy, right? Because I felt so self-conscious about it. I was happy that I decided to publish it after all. So the comments really help me in kind of gauging if you enjoy the content or not, because sometimes the views, just the numbers and so on, they don't necessarily say much, right? I also try not be clickbaity. I know there's I mean, that's the first thing that everybody learns, and they're like, how do you make compelling content? Like, have a clear call for action, have a hook, have a this, like, have clickbait, blah blah blah. And it's like, no, I'm just gonna name it for whatever it is, so you know exactly what you get when you click on the video. What's the point in people clicking on the video and then just being disappointed? Like, can you imagine the shitstorm in the comments? One goal that I have with this endeavor, Sydney Plant Guy endeavor, is definitely I do want to somehow take it outside of social media as well. I don't want to have to rely on social media and the algorithm, like Instagram, for example. I have more followers on Instagram than I have on TikTok and YouTube combined, but it's dead. Like, nobody gets to see my content anymore. Like, even some of my friends ask me, like, do you still do Sydney Plant Guy? And I was like, yeah, I pretty much post daily. And they're like, oh, we don't get to see any of your content anymore because of the algorithm. I don't know. They're like, yeah, make it more clickbaity, upload more frequently. You need to upload 6 times a week. I don't have time for that. So I just focus on YouTube. And on that note, if you made it that far into the video and you still haven't subscribed, which is usually about 50% of my videos are watched by people that haven't even subscribed, please do it now. It helps. But yeah, I would love to do a little bit more, maybe television or something like that. Honestly, I'm happy to like explore what's out there, because you don't know what you like until you've tried it at least once, right? But yeah, again, I do think that being in Australia, there's definitely limited opportunities. I feel like US creators have so many more opportunities when it comes to these things. So yeah, let's see how it go. Okay, so I'll just make the moss pole. I'll just secure everything using cable ties, and then let's see how I attach that plastic. So I'm just gonna cable tie this on here. Oh, there comes the sun, and it's gonna be really annoying to film in about 2.5 seconds because of too much light.
Hi, Bradley. What are you doing?
She's cleaning herself. She's alive. Sorry if the sun is gonna be annoying for you guys, but I'm gonna enjoy it. I cannot wait. Alright, so this is also gonna add a lot of structural integrity, I feel like. I don't know if what I'm doing here makes sense, because I feel like it just ends up looking like a normal or a vertical pole eventually, but more round instead of, well, the only reason I'm doing it is because I wanted to match the existing ones. Hang on, my bee fell. Are you okay? Are you flying again? She's trying to fly. Alrighty, first one done. I'm not a fan though. I think with the next one, I'm gonna try and incorporate the plastic on the inside instead. Bless you. Oh my god, he just sneezed. Did you hear that? That was so cute. The other thing, what I really want to achieve with this channel is I would love to collaborate with people. I would love to travel the world and see botanic gardens all across the world. And obviously, the more audience and engagement I have, the more leverage I have in getting some of these things. So for example, I'm now like a I'm an ambassador for the Royal Botanic Garden. Tomorrow I'm going to the Mount Toima Garden. Not too sure whereabouts in the timeline that video will be released, if you've seen it by now or not, or if it's still to come. I suppose you know more by now than I do right now. Oh, where did my bee go? Fuck. I'll scan the floor for her later. But yeah, it's great being able to get opportunities like that and learn from, you know, some of the country's experts in these fields. I think that is so cool and like a privilege, but obviously if they spend time on engaging with you, they want something out of it as well. They obviously want publicity. They want to make sure that people follow their channels or get the word out there, right? Everybody wants something out of this, of course. So we just need to make sure that it's a fair deal for everybody. Would love to be invited to go to Singapore and film the gardens by the bay over there. So Singaporean government, if you're watching, call me. Yeah, so I think that's really what I would love to get out of this channel. You know, and obviously I have much more leverage if I have a larger audience. So I want to grow this channel so I can grow in experiences. Right? Or I can have experiences that I wouldn't have otherwise. How do I roll this burrito now? Bradley, are you okay? Don't play with the bee though. Oh, there's something flying. Maybe that's my bee. Is she flying around? I don't know. Okay, have a look at this. So it looks neater, but I don't know if you can see this. So see how it really just has this really narrow strip at the front where the plant can actually penetrate into the moss pole? It is super, super stable though. It's like extra thick. So it will probably be good for like a plant where it's just one vine climbing up and it's just climbing up pretty straight. But if you have multiple vines and you need a larger surface area, then this way there is still a little bit more moss exposed. No, I don't know what I like better. I do like the look of this better. Okay, let's do one more of those. But this time I'm cutting the plastic into like a thinner piece. Alrighty, let's just wrap up that business topic though, so we can move on to other things. And I think by now you can really hardly see me with all of that light coming in. In a nutshell, just want to be really open and honest with you about where I'm going with this. And yes, I do want to make sure that Sydney Plant Guy is a viable side hustle for me. And as part of that, I need to also look after myself. But I do think that this channel growing is going to be better for everybody. I think it's hopefully going to expose me to some exciting opportunities that I wouldn't be exposed to otherwise. The content can improve as a result of funding, let's say. But I hope at the same time I can still keep this nice and like authentic, right? I still want this to feel like we're hanging out with friends over here. I don't want this to be like overproduced or over, you know what I mean? I put a little less moss in because I think last time it was really hard to actually close off that sushi roll. That works better. So yeah, hopefully it ends up being a win-win-win. We're all winning. That's the goal, right? So let's see how we go with this. Maybe we can look back at this video in a year's time and be like, yeah, I've done these things, been there. It's nice to set goals and then achieve them. It's nice to be ambitious. I'm usually quite ambitious. AJ and I have been thinking about putting on an event. Now obviously that would be a Sydney-based event, so apologies to anybody who's not in Sydney who can't attend this. But I think it would be fun to do some events. I mean, there's a couple of different types of events. AJ was thinking she wants to put on a bit of a market first and get other plant shops as well, and just have like a little market similar to the plant collector fair, like by putting our own together, kind of. which obviously kind of a bit weird for me because I don't sell plants. That's not part of my business model. But I would still like to be there and support AJ. And Tim from Grow Vertical will probably be there as well. So yeah, I would love to be there and support them. But ultimately, we also want to put on like a proper event one day. So like an event that is really like bringing all of the planty people together. Look, I like this much better. So it still has the plastic at the back, but it has a larger surface at the front. So I think that's the solution. So it only took me 3 versions until I'm happy with it. But now that I know, I can copy and paste. Oh my god, I have so many left to do. Oh. See, maybe I'm running out of moss, hopefully soon. Oh, this is so messy. I'm glad I can do all of these things outside now. Inside I would have already had a heart attack. Let me quickly change the battery and look for my bee. Oh, the sun is back. We're out of hell. Sorry, I had to I had to stop filming because I ran out of storage. But I'm back, so I'm just making a normal moss pole now. I definitely need a couple of the normal ones. So normal, okay, I'm not putting any plastic sheet in it because my Milano and my Splendid are both at the top of their moss pole and they're inside, so they're not exposed to too much airflow anyway. So I'm just gonna go with the open moss pole. It's worked so far. So I'm not going to fix what's not broken. Also, I was looking for my bee on the floor, couldn't find her. So let's just say that she flew away. I like that narrative. That works for me. And this is also the last of the moss, so I'm finally done. All the little bits of moss that stick out, if I water it with my bottle upside down water technique, the water is just going to drip off those and kind of make a mess. So it's not just aesthetic, it's also more functional, less messy. Beautiful. All right, let me quickly clean up. All right. So, successful day. I restocked my aeroid mix bar. I'm gonna let AJ know what I need to stock it up fully. And I made, what is that, six moss poles, 2 fully open ones, 4 with some level of plastic backing. And I also made, I'm really having a hard time counting today, 6 Grow Vertical poles that I can fill with tree fern fiber and or aeroid mix. So the idea is that the Grow Verticals will go into my greenhouse over here, and it can get messy, so I can fill it with tree fern fiber or orchid bark or aeroid mix and so on. The open moss poles will stay inside because that's they don't dry out as quickly inside, and they're the least messy or the most mess-free. And then these moss poles with the plastic backing, they just go on top of my existing moss poles that are already outside, but the plastic backing is hopefully going to prevent it from drying out so quickly. Now, I'm going to keep it exactly where they are right now. I want them to dry in the sun because I'm not ready to use them just yet. I'm going to use them over the next month or so. And I probably need to make a few more in October again because spring is going to be intense. But yeah, I want them to dry out. I think the sun is also going to help with mold prevention. If I'm correct, the UV light should kill any mold spores, but also when they're dry, I'm just having a much easier time storing them without causing mold in the first place. So they're going to stay exactly where they are. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video today. I know I was a little bit different, but I hope it helped in kind of understanding a little better where I'm coming from, what I want to do with this account, and how you can support me in doing that as well. Anyway, I'll wrap it up now because I'm running out of battery, I'm running out of storage. Yeah, I need to move on. There's a few other things I need to get done today, so I'll say goodbye. Thank you for watching and see you next time.